Hey guys, tonight we will embark on a calm and gentle journey beneath the waves into a hidden world that has been sleeping for centuries. This story will help you relax, let go of the day, and drift into a deep, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, make your bed cozy and comfortable. Dim the lights and allow your body to fully relax. Close your eyes. Take slow, deep breaths, and with each breath, feel yourself becoming lighter, calmer, and more at ease. Let your mind feel free, happy, and open to the wonders of tonight's story. Every sound, every word, and every moment of this journey will guide you gently into a serene and peaceful atmosphere as we explore the mysterious underwater city of Aqualis. Let's begin the story. The night was unusually calm. The Pacific stretched endlessly beneath the moonlight, its surface shimmering like liquid glass. The research vessel Aurora 7 drifted slowly, anchored miles away from any human coast, surrounded only by darkness and the whisper of waves. Dr. Elena Carter sat alone in the observation deck, her headphones pressed gently against her ears. She had been listening to whale songs for years, the haunting, melodic calls of blue and humpback whales that echoed across the vastness of the ocean. But tonight, something felt different. At first, it was subtle, a faint hum beneath the whale's long cry, almost like an echo. Then it grew stronger, a soft vibration, deep and rhythmic, like a whisper rising from the ocean floor. Aqualis. Elena froze. She pulled off her headphones, her heart beating fast. For a moment, she thought she was imagining things. Maybe it was interference, some static signal, or mechanical distortion. But when she replayed the audio, the whisper came again, faint yet deliberate. Aqualis. It wasn't random. It had a pattern, a human-like cadence. Too organized to be natural, she adjusted the frequency analyzer. The digital graph rippled across the screen, perfect sine waves, except for one odd, pulsing rhythm hidden deep in the low band. She isolated the frequency, slowed it down, and played it back once more. The voice, if it was a voice, seemed to come from miles below the surface. Not a sound carried through air, but through water itself. Elena stared out through the glass window. The sea was still. Only the faint reflection of stars shimmered on its surface. But beneath that calmness, something was alive. Something ancient, breathing, calling. She turned on the hydrophone recorder and spoke softly into her log. Recording log, 11:42 p.m. Location, 400 miles west of Monterey Bay. Received unidentified, low-frequency pattern. Possible geological resonance or biological unknown. Signal repeating every 47 seconds. Phrase detected. Sounds like Aqualis. Her voice trembled slightly at the end. She'd recorded hundreds of marine sounds before. Submarine sonar, whale harmonics, even seismic tremors, but never anything like this. The whisper carried emotion, almost like someone trying to speak through the waves, someone trying to reach out. Elena increased the receiver's gain. The sound grew clearer, wrapping around the ship like a ghostly current. It wasn't just a word anymore. There were multiple tones, rising and falling like music. She shut her eyes. In that moment, she felt as if the sea itself was aware of her presence. Watching her, listening back. Then silence. The ocean went still. All equipment readings flattened into a single dead line. Even the whales stopped singing. A chill swept over her. She looked outside again, and for a second, she could have sworn she saw something beneath the surface. A faint bluish glow deep under the water, moving slowly, like the outline of a city in sleep. "What are you?" she whispered. But the ocean gave no answer. Only the sound of her heartbeat filled the silence, until once again, through the static, came the faintest of murmurs. The morning sun barely pierced the endless gray of the Pacific horizon, but inside the research lab aboard Aurora 7, the world was alive with data. Dr. Elena Carter sat hunched over her monitors, headphones dangling around her neck, staring at the cascading patterns on screens. The whispers from last night, the faint, deliberate echoes, haunted her mind. She replayed the recording over and over, isolating frequencies, slowing them down, speeding them up, but each time the same words surfaced. Aqualis. It repeated again and again, hidden beneath the whale songs, beneath the low hum of the ocean itself. Each repetition had a rhythm, a cadence almost too perfect to be natural. "This isn't biological. Not any whale, not any known marine life," she muttered to herself. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, applying filters, analyzing waveforms, extracting data. And the more she looked, the clearer it became. The signal was patterned, almost like someone or something was trying to communicate. Elena pulled up old oceanic myths, anthropological records, anything she could find about lost civilizations beneath the sea. Her eyes widened as she stumbled across mentions of Aqualis, a city spoken of in whispers, buried in legend. Ancient maps hinted at it, stories spoke of its grandeur, and some texts claimed it had vanished into the ocean depths centuries ago. And now, the ocean was calling. She replayed the signal once more. This time, she noticed subtle changes, hidden tones, almost like musical notes. Whoever, or whatever, was sending it was aware someone was listening. Elena leaned back, exhaling slowly. It's an invitation or a warning. Maybe both. She called her team into the lab, showing them the decoded pattern. Screens flickered with the repeating Aqualis signal. Her teammates exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered about hallucinations, others about equipment malfunctions. But Elena knew the truth. "This is real," she said firmly. "This is a message. Someone or something is reaching out to us from the depths, and it wants us to find them." As if on cue, a low hum returned through the headphones. Clearer this time, it threaded through the lab like a tangible current. The lab was quiet, almost eerily so, when the first alert came in. The faint blinking of the console light cut through the darkness like a heartbeat. It was late, well past midnight, but Elena was still awake, unable to shake the echoes of the previous night's discovery. "Dr. Carter, you need to see this," her assistant whispered, pointing at a flashing message on the main monitor. The screen displayed a string of numbers, coordinates scrambled and distorted at first glance. The source, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, somewhere beyond the mapped regions, beyond where anyone in the naval world dared to go. Elena leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. She cross-referenced the coordinates with the standard naval charts stored on the ship's database. Every map labeled this sector as unexplored. Some charts even had a warning in bold red letters: "Danger, do not approach." Yet here were coordinates coming to them. From where? How? Her fingers danced over the keyboard, running decryption algorithms, filtering out noise, adjusting for underwater distortions. Slowly, a clear location began to emerge, a precise point on the ocean floor. A cold shiver ran down her spine. The area was deep, beyond the reach of conventional submarines, in the abyssal zone, where pressure could crush steel like paper and sunlight never penetrated. This can't be a coincidence," Elena muttered, voice barely audible in the darkened lab. The sound patterns, the Aqualis signal, and now these coordinates. It's all connected. Her team gathered around, eyes wide, mouths slightly open in disbelief. Some were excited, some terrified. The ocean had always been mysterious, but this was something entirely different. Something intentional. Something calling. Elena's mind raced. She remembered the tale she had read about lost civilizations, submerged cities swallowed by time, and myths of explorers who had vanished chasing impossible discoveries. Yet here, right in front of them, was the exact location of a place that shouldn't exist. She leaned back, taking a deep breath. "This isn't just exploration," she said slowly, her tone steady despite the fear creeping in. "This is an invitation, or a warning. Either way, it's telling us to go there, to see it for ourselves." The lab fell silent again. The hum of the ship and the soft lapping of waves against the hull were the only sounds. Outside, the Pacific stretched endlessly, dark and unknowable. Elena stared at the screen, the coordinates glowing in red, pulsating like a heartbeat. A forbidden place, hidden beneath miles of water, waiting for someone bold enough or foolish enough to descend. The morning fog had barely lifted when the small submersible, Nautilus X, was prepped and ready. Elena Carter climbed inside, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The crew gave her a solemn nod. No words could capture the weight of what they were about to do. "Remember," the captain said, "once we go below 1,000 meters, there's no turning back until we reach the target coordinates. And even then, nothing guarantees we'll return unscathed." Elena nodded silently. She strapped herself into the seat, the harness biting into her shoulders. Around her, the small cabin hummed with machinery, life support systems, and the steady pulse of the sub's engine. The hatch sealed with a metallic clang, cutting them off from the world above. With a slow, deliberate movement, Nautilus X began its descent. Outside, the sunlit waves faded quickly. The ocean darkened, swallowing light like a living curtain. The crew monitored the instruments, their faces ghostly in the dim glow of the console screens. At first, it was just darkness, black, silent, endless. Then, almost imperceptibly, faint blue glows began to appear. Tiny pulses like scattered stars under the sea. They grew brighter as they descended, swirling and drifting in strange, hypnotic patterns. "Bioluminescent creatures," Elena whispered, though something in her voice betrayed doubt. These glows were different, too symmetrical, too structured, almost deliberate, as if the ocean floor itself was alive. The deeper they went, the pressure readings climbed. Every meter pushed the sub's hull closer to its limits. And yet, the blue lights beckoned them onward. The glow seemed to pulse in rhythm with the Aqualis signal, faintly, impossibly synchronized. Elena pressed her face to the viewport. The abyss stretched endlessly, alien and silent, but not empty. Shadows moved with intent, darting and shimmering, vanishing before she could identify them. The water itself seemed to whisper, carrying the memory of a city lost beneath the waves. A chill ran down her spine. She had read about the abyssal zone, about ancient sea legends, but nothing prepared her for this. It wasn't fear she felt. It was awe, and something else. The sense that they were not alone. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt distorted in the endless darkness. The blue glows formed shapes now, geometric patterns that hinted at structures, streets, and towers far below. Elena swallowed hard. "We're close," she murmured. "Whatever is down there, it's waiting for us." The sub's lights swept over the murky depths, revealing hints of massive stone formations, covered in strange algae that shimmered faintly. Shadows of enormous size shifted beyond the lights, almost like silent sentinels observing their descent. As Nautilus X sank deeper into the abyss, the outside world, the sun, the waves, the sky, faded completely. All that remained was darkness, the strange blue glow, and the undeniable feeling that the ocean itself was alive. The Nautilus X drifted slowly, its lights cutting through the inky black of the abyss. The deeper they descended, the more the ocean seemed to stretch into eternity, silent yet alive with subtle movements. Then, without warning, the submersible's forward lights fell upon something massive, something impossible. Two colossal stone structures rose from the ocean floor, side by side, forming a gate so immense that even Nautilus X looked tiny in comparison. They were ancient, yet undisturbed, covered in thick layers of algae and strange coral formations. The surface of the stones shimmered faintly with a blue-green glow that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the ocean itself. Elena's breath caught. What is that?" she whispered, her voice almost lost in the hum of the sub's engine. The gates were etched with intricate runes, glowing faintly as if alive. Their shapes were fluid and unfamiliar, symbols that twisted and curved in ways no human script had ever been designed. Yet somehow, there was a logic to them, a rhythm that resonated with the pulse of the submersible and the mysterious sound patterns she had decoded days ago. "It's not human-made," murmured one of the crew members, his voice shaking. "Nothing like this exists on Earth." Elena leaned closer to the viewport. The gates radiated a strange energy. She could feel in her chest a low vibration, almost like a heartbeat coming from the stones themselves. The ocean around the gates shimmered with tiny blue motes, drifting like fireflies, as if the gates were drawing energy from the water itself. "Look at the runes," Elena said, pointing. "They're glowing in a pattern. It's repeating, almost like a language." She reached for her portable scanner, aiming it at the runes. The readings went haywire. Magnetic interference, unknown energy signatures, fluctuations that made their instruments blink in and out. It was as if the gates themselves were aware of their presence. A subtle current tugged at the submersible S, guiding them closer. The crew exchanged nervous glances, but Elena felt an irresistible pull. The gates were a threshold, an entrance to something ancient, something that had been hidden for millennia. The Nautilus X hovered before the glowing gates, lights illuminating the carvings, the algae, the faint shimmer of energy beneath the stone. Elena pressed her hand to the viewport, staring in awe. This is it," she whispered. "This is the entrance to Aqualis." A cold shiver ran down her spine as the water around the gates rippled unnaturally. It wasn't the ocean currents. It was something else, an unseen presence, watching, waiting, testing. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, a faint hum began to vibrate through the sub's hull, low and melodic, almost like a greeting. Elena's heart pounded. The gates weren't just stone. They were alive in some way. And beyond them, whatever lay there had been waiting for centuries. The Nautilus X slipped through the glowing gates as if the water itself parted to let them in. Beyond the threshold, a world emerged that defied imagination. A city unlike any Elena had ever seen. Crystalline towers stretched upward, catching the submersible's lights and refracting them into shimmering patterns across the dark water. The streets below were empty, silent, yet every structure seemed alive. Walls pulsed faintly, breathing slowly like the chest of a sleeping giant. It was as though the city itself had a heartbeat, and it welcomed them with cautious rhythm. Elena pressed her face to the viewport, mesmerized. The towers weren't just crystal, they seemed organic, grown rather than built. Curved spires twisted in impossible angles, spiraling toward the surface with elegance and purpose. Some structures emitted a soft blue luminescence, while others were transparent, revealing layers of intricate geometric patterns inside. The streets, though abandoned, were not lifeless. Tiny currents of water moved in subtle path, flowing as if guided by some unseen force. Shadows flickered, never revealing their source. Every so often, a faint ripple passed across the buildings, as if something beneath the surface stirred. "Look at this," Elena whispered. "It's alive. The city itself, it's breathing." One of the crew, gripping a console, nodded silently. His eyes were wide with awe and unease. "I've never seen anything like this. It's organic, yet architectural, intelligent, intentional." As the submersible floated deeper into the city, Elena noticed strange symbols etched into the crystalline surfaces, glowing faintly with the same rhythm as the runes on the gates. It was the same pattern, the mysterious Aqualis signal pulsing softly through the very walls. For a moment, Elena could almost hear whispers in the water, faint echoes of voices long gone. Stories of the city, its people, and its purpose seemed to linger in the currents, brushing against the Nautilus X like the memory of a dream. She shivered. The city was a ghost, yet it was real. Silent, abandoned, but awake in ways she could not yet understand. Every pulse of light, every ripple of the water seemed to be aware of their presence, acknowledging them, testing them. The deeper they ventured, the stronger the sensation became, an almost spiritual connection to a civilization lost to time, preserved beneath the crushing weight of the ocean for centuries. This is Aqualis," Elena murmured, her voice trembling. "And it's been waiting for us to arrive." Outside, the darkness pressed in, but within the city, faint glows guided their path forward. Towers pulsed, streets shimmered, and the echoes of the past whispered of secrets and stories that had slept for ages, waiting to awaken. Elena exhaled slowly, her heart hammering. She realized they were no longer just explorers. They were witnesses. Witnesses to the memory of an ancient world, echoing softly beneath the waves. And somewhere, deep within the crystalline towers, the city's heartbeat quickened, as if sensing the curiosity, fear, and wonder of the visitors who had dared to enter its realm. As the Nautilus X drifted further into the city of crystalline towers, the silence around them grew heavier. The faint hum of the submersible's engines was the only sound, mingling with the soft, pulsing glow of the towers. Then movement. At first, Elena thought it was a trick of the light, reflections on the crystal walls or bioluminescent particles drifting in the water. But soon, shapes began to emerge from the shadows, figures gliding silently between the towers. They were neither fish nor human, yet they resembled aspects of both. Long, elegant limbs flowed with the currents, and their forms shimmered like liquid glass. Their eyes glowed faintly, pale blue and unblinking, fixed on the submersible. Every movement was deliberate, measured, as if they were studying the intruders. Elena pressed her face to the viewport. "What are they?" she whispered, a shiver running down her spine. "They're watching us," one of the crew murmured, his voice tight with fear. "They've been waiting." The figures did not approach aggressively. They did not speak. They simply hovered, moving with the water, gliding around the Nautilus X like ghosts tethered to the city. Their presence was almost ceremonial, as though the very fabric of Aqualis had summoned them to observe the newcomers. Elena noticed subtle patterns in their movements. Sometimes they formed circles, sometimes lines, and sometimes mirrored the pulsing rhythm of the glowing towers. It was deliberate, intelligent, an unspoken language transmitted through motion and presence. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the low vibration of the sub's engine and the faint hum echoing through the water, harmonizing with the watcher's subtle motions. Then, without warning, one figure drifted close to the viewport, its glowing eyes locked with Elena's. She felt an intense awareness in that gaze, as if the being could see into her thoughts, into her curiosity and her fear. Her breath caught. They know why we're here, she whispered, voice trembling. The figure tilted its head slightly and then slowly retreated, blending back into the shadows. One by one, the others followed, moving in elegant patterns around the Nautilus X, never leaving, never attacking, simply watching. Elena exhaled slowly, a mix of relief and awe washing over her. The Watchers were not enemies, but they were guardians, witnesses, in whatever lay beyond the city. Whatever secret Aqualis had been hiding for centuries was under their protection. This city, Elena said softly, it's alive. Not just the buildings, the inhabitants. Every corner of this place is aware of us. As the submersible moved deeper, the Watchers maintained their silent vigil, guiding them forward through the luminous streets, their presence a constant reminder that the mysteries of Aqualis were being observed, carefully, patiently, and eternally. The Nautilus X drifted slowly through the glowing city, its lights sweeping over streets that seemed alive with the pulse of Aqualis. The Watchers circled at a respectful distance, their glowing eyes following every movement. Then Elena saw it, an obelisk standing alone in a plaza of crystalline tiles. It was tall, carved from a single piece of crystal, faintly glowing with a blue-green light. Strange symbols etched its surface, spiraling and twisting, almost like the runes on the glowing gates, but more intricate, more alive. Elena felt an irresistible pull. She unstrapped herself and floated toward the viewport, reaching out her hand. As her fingers brushed the obelisk through the water, the glow intensified. A deep vibration ran through her body, like the heartbeat of the city itself. Suddenly, her vision shifted. She was no longer in the submersible. She was there, in the city, centuries earlier. People walked gracefully through the streets, clad in flowing garments that seemed part of the ocean itself. They moved effortlessly, their feet never disturbing the water, their gestures elegant and deliberate. Towers shimmered around her, alive with light. The streets pulsed faintly with energy, and crystalline bridges connected buildings in impossible arcs. Fish and other sea creatures swam alongside the people, unafraid, coexisting in harmony. Elena saw children playing in the currents, their laughter echoing softly through the water, and merchants trading goods that shimmered like pearls. Music floated through the city, faint but harmonious, resonating with the pulsing glow of the structures. It was a civilization thriving under the sea, an advanced culture lost to time, swallowed by the depths and forgotten by the world above. Then the vision changed. A massive wave, dark and unstoppable, swept through the city. Towers shook, streets cracked, and the people were swept into the deep currents. Elena felt the panic, the sorrow, the desperation. The city, once alive and vibrant, was now silent, abandoned, waiting beneath the ocean for anyone brave enough to uncover its memory. Her hand fell away from the obelisk. The vision vanished, and she floated in the submersible once more, the watchers still circling, their glowing eyes calm, almost reverent. Elena exhaled shakily. "It's real," she whispered. "Aqualis, it was real. This city, these people, they existed." She realized then that the pulsing structures, the watchers, even the whispers, they were remnants of that ancient civilization. A memory preserved beneath the ocean, waiting for someone to witness it. For the first time, Elena understood the weight of their discovery. They were not just exploring a lost city. They were touching history itself, alive in the water, breathing through the very stones of Aqualis. And somewhere deep beneath the crystalline towers, the city seemed to acknowledge her understanding, pulsing more strongly, as if approving her presence, welcoming her into its ancient memory. The Nautilus X hovered silently over the plaza where the glowing obelisk stood. For a moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the submersible's engine and the soft pulse of the city's crystalline towers. Then it began, a deep, rhythmic vibration that seemed to come from the very bones of Aqualis. It reverberated through the water, through the hull of the sub, through their very bodies. It wasn't just a vibration, it was a heartbeat. The instruments on the submersible started to malfunction. Screens flickered, sonar readings warped and twisted, and compass needles spun erratically. Data became meaningless. Even the digital recorder glitched, capturing fragments of distorted sound instead of accurate readings. Elena gripped the console, her knuckles white. It's alive," she whispered. "The city itself is responding." And then the voices began, soft at first, like whispers carried by the currents. But soon, they became clearer, impossibly precise. "Elena, come closer." Her heart raced. She wasn't imagining it. Every crew member heard the same thing. Names whispered from the shadows, drifting through the water like a tangible current, beckoning them toward the unexplored parts of the ruins. "Do you hear that?" One of the crew gasped. "It's calling us by name." The watchers glided closer, silent and observant, their glowing eyes reflecting the pulsing light of the towers. They didn't interfere, but their presence heightened the tension. It was as if they were ensuring that no one faltered, that everyone responded to the call of the city. Elena felt a pull deep within her chest, almost irresistible. The pulse of the city synced with her own heartbeat, urging her forward. Her rational mind screamed to resist, but her curiosity, her sense of discovery, overpowered fear. This is how it communicates," she whispered. "Not through sound alone, but through rhythm, through recognition, through memory." The deeper the Nautilus X moved into the ruins, the stronger the pulse became. The glowing towers flickered in perfect synchronization, and the whispers grew louder, insistent, almost like a choir of voices calling from centuries past. Each name, each whisper, seemed to promise revelation, but also danger. The ruins of Aqualis were alive, and they knew the intruders were here. They were not passive observers. They were guardians, guides, and temptresses all at once. Elena took a deep breath, knowing that with every pulse, with every whisper, the city was drawing them deeper into its heart. And somewhere in that labyrinth of crystalline streets and glowing towers, the secrets of Aqualis waited, ancient, alive, and patient. The Nautilus X glided through the pulsating streets of Aqualis, guided by the rhythmic heartbeat of the city. The whispers had faded, leaving only the deep vibration that seemed to resonate from the very foundations of the submerged metropolis. Ahead, the submersible's lights revealed something extraordinary, a massive structure at the city's center, unlike anything they had encountered before. It was a temple, rising from the ocean floor like a dark monolith. Its foundation was carved from black coral, while veins of gold shimmered across its surface, tracing patterns that glowed faintly in the water. Elena felt her breath catch. "It's magnificent," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "And ancient." The walls of the temple were covered in intricate murals. At first, they appeared to be simple depictions of daily life in Aqualis, people walking the streets, children playing in the currents. But as the submersible drew closer, the true nature of the art became clear. The figures were transforming, their forms twisting and melding with sea creatures, fish, cephalopods, even more alien forms that defied description. It was a visual language, a record of evolution and symbiosis. Humans had become something new, something adapted to the ocean, living in harmony with a city that breathed and pulsed around them. This is the story of Aqualis," Elena murmured, her eyes wide. "They didn't just build a city, they became part of it." The submersible hovered before the temple's massive doors, which were also inscribed with glowing runes. The heartbeat of the city intensified, vibrating through the hull with an almost magnetic force. Elena could feel it in her chest, her bones, her very thoughts. "It's calling us," one of the crew whispered, voice trembling. "It wants us to enter." The watchers hovered nearby, their glowing eyes fixed on the temple, silent and vigilant. Elena realized that this was the heart of the city, the source of its pulse, its memory, and perhaps the key to its ancient secrets. She reached for her console, scanning the murals and the runes, but the energy in the water interfered with every instrument. Nothing could measure it, quantify it, or explain it. Only the city itself knew the answers. Elena exhaled slowly, determination mingling with fear. "We have to see inside," she said. "Whatever lies within, it will tell us everything about Aqualis and about why it's still alive." The Nautilus X hovered at the threshold of the abyssal shrine, lights illuminating the black coral and golden veins, the murals of transformation, and the silent, watchful guardians. Beyond the doors, the pulse of the city grew stronger, and a sense of anticipation hung in the water, like the breath of a creature waiting to reveal itself. For the first time, Elena understood that they were not just explorers anymore. They were intruders into a world that had survived centuries, a civilization that had mastered life beneath the waves, and a city that was very much alive. The Nautilus X slipped quietly through the shadowed interior of the abyssal shrine, its lights revealing corridors carved from black coral and adorned with golden veins that shimmered faintly in the water. The rhythmic pulse of Aqualis had intensified, vibrating through the submersible like a low, insistent heartbeat. Then they came upon them, rows of transparent capsules, perfectly preserved, floated suspended in the water. Each contained a humanoid figure, body serene, yet unmistakably alive. Their skin glimmered faintly, illuminated by the city's ambient glow, and their chests rose and fell in subtle, almost imperceptible rhythm. They were neither fully alive nor completely dead, trapped in a delicate balance between existence and oblivion. Elena's breath caught. "They survived," she whispered, her voice trembling. "These are the last inhabitants of Aqualis." Some of the figures had faintly bioluminescent markings along their arms and faces, similar to the glowing runes they had seen throughout the city. Others seemed closer to the murals in the temple. Humans merging with sea creatures, their forms part organic, part architectural, part aquatic life. "It's incredible," one of the crew murmured, his hand frozen on the console. "They've been preserved for centuries. How is this even possible?" Elena floated closer, studying one of the capsules. A faint pulse of energy emanated from it, synced with the city's heartbeat. The figure's eyes opened slowly, glowing softly, acknowledging her presence without fear. "They aren't just preserved," Elena said slowly, realization dawning. "They're alive, but in a state we can barely comprehend. The city itself is sustaining them, keeping them suspended, aware, and yet trapped." Another capsule drifted closer to the submersible's lights, and a faint whisper brushed against Elena's mind. She flinched but didn't pull back. "Welcome, we waited." The watchers hovered nearby, their eyes reflecting the soft glow of the capsules. Silent sentinels, guardians of the last echoes of a civilization long gone. Elena felt a mix of awe and dread. The people of Aqualis had chosen, or had been forced, to become part of their city, preserved for eternity in its living architecture. The pulses, the glows, the whispers, they were all connected. The city was alive, and its inhabitants were the living memory, the heartbeat of its past. She exhaled slowly. "We're witnessing history," she whispered, "but not as mere observers, as intruders into something far greater than ourselves." Every capsule pulsed with faint life, the rhythm syncing with the city. Elena realized then that Aqualis was not just a lost civilization. It was a living organism, and its last inhabitants were its heart. The Nautilus X hovered silently among the glowing capsules, the rhythmic pulse of the city vibrating through every surface of the submersible. The watchers drifted nearby, their pale blue eyes reflecting the soft glimmer of the preserved inhabitants. Then it happened. A sudden surge of energy rippled through the abyssal shrine. The crystalline towers outside the sub's viewport flickered, casting shifting shadows across the walls and the capsules. The pulse of Aqualis accelerated, vibrating in a rhythm almost like a heartbeat racing in fear or anticipation. Elena instinctively gripped the console. "What's happening?" she whispered. One of the capsules glowed brighter, and inside, the figure's eyes opened wide. A soft, melodic sound echoed in the water, not through the sub's speakers, but through the very water around them. It was a voice, ancient, melodic, resonating through the depths. "You have come to see." The pulse of the city synchronized with the voice, sending shivers down every crew member's spine. It was not just sound. It was knowledge, memory, a message encoded into the very water and structures of the city. Elena felt herself drawn toward the glowing obelisk they had seen earlier. The energy from the shrine seemed to extend through the hallways, guiding her, pulling her forward. Her mind began to fill with visions, snippets of history, fragments of culture, whispers of ceremonies, and rituals long forgotten by the surface world. She saw the people of Aqualis walking gracefully through the city, trading and living in harmony with the ocean. She saw the transformation rituals, the melding of human forms with marine life to adapt to life beneath the waves. And she saw the catastrophe, the wave that swallowed the city, leaving it preserved in suspended animation, hidden for centuries beneath the crushing pressure of the ocean. Elena's heart pounded. The city wasn't just a location. It was alive, a repository of memory, of knowledge, of a civilization that had chosen to transcend its mortality and merge with the ocean itself. The watchers swirled closer, their movements almost reverent. One glided directly in front of the submersible, its glowing eyes locking with Elena's. She could feel understanding, caution, and approval all at once. The city was testing them, judging whether they were worthy to witness its secrets. The pulse of Aqualis slowed slightly, the whispers fading but not disappearing. Elena realized the truth. The city was alive because of its people, and the people were alive because of the city. Every structure, every pulse, every glow carried the memory of a civilization that had refused to die. This is incredible, Elena murmured. We're not just explorers, we're witnesses, and now we have to understand it. The abyssal shrine seemed to hum in agreement, its black coral and gold surfaces shimmering like a heartbeat resonating through the water. The secrets of Aqualis were awakening, and with each pulse, each whisper, they beckoned the crew deeper into the heart of the city. The Nautilus X hovered at the center of the abyssal shrine, surrounded by pulsating crystalline towers, glowing obelisks, and the silent watchers. The preserve inhabitants drifted in their capsules, eyes open now, radiating a soft, serene light. Elena's heart raced. After centuries hidden beneath crushing pressures and unending darkness, the city of Aqualis was finally revealing itself, not just as ruins, but as a living entity. The pulse of the city quickened. It wasn't fear, not exactly. It was anticipation. And as the submersible moved closer to the central obelisk, a vision unlike any before unfolded around Elena. The water shimmered and parted like liquid glass, revealing the core of Aqualis. A massive sphere of glowing energy hovered suspended in the abyssal darkness, radiating life and memory in perfect harmony. It was the heart of the city, the source of the pulse, the keeper of the inhabitants, the consciousness of civilization that had chosen to become one with the ocean. Elena felt her chest tighten, a mix of awe and understanding flooding her senses. The watchers circled closer, guiding, protecting, and acknowledging her presence. They were not just guardians, they were emissaries, witnesses of the city's life. And then she understood. Aqualis had survived because it had learned to merge memory with matter, life with architecture, and spirit with water. Every pulse, every glow, every whisper carried centuries of knowledge, of triumph and tragedy. The city itself had become an immortal archive, living and breathing beneath the waves. The heartbeat of the city slowed, synchronizing with her own pulse. Elena realized that by coming here, they had been accepted. The watchers relaxed, drifting back, giving space, as if to say, the intruders had proven their worth. She turned to her crew. "We can't take anything with us," she said softly. "Not physically, but the knowledge, the memories, the stories. We can share that. Aqualis has chosen to reveal itself, and now it's our responsibility to honor it." For a long moment, they simply floated there, suspended in awe. The whispers returned, not demanding or luring, but soft, melodic, greetings from centuries past, echoes of lives once lived, now forever preserved in the pulse of the city. The Nautilus X began its ascent, leaving the abyssal shrine behind. As they rose through the glowing streets and crystalline towers, Elena glanced back one last time. The watchers remained, silent and vigilant, eyes glowing faintly, guarding the heart of Aqualis. And in that moment, she understood something profound. Some cities are not lost, not truly. Some civilizations survive in ways beyond human comprehension, hidden beneath waves and centuries, waiting for those patient enough to witness their story.